we're changing the way we see it. We're changing our point of view. We are changing our thoughts and our beliefs. And by doing that consistently with anything that bothers you, you change your reality. Because you can be or do or have anything that you choose, because you are God in a human body. You are source energy here in a physical body. Hi, my name is Bella, and I'm here to help you remember who you are. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the power of meditation and journaling and how it's transformed my life. I started journaling at the beginning of 2021, was when I really noticed the power of journaling, because I was in a long-term relationship and we had just bought a property and we had moved in and we'd only been there for a number of weeks. And I was meditating at the time, but I wasn't journaling, but I was meditating, and the meditation was helping my body to align. There was less pain. My mood improved, my focus sharpened. But at the time, I was in a relationship that wasn't right for me, and because we'd been together for I think about 3 years at that point. And we were very serious. Obviously, we bought a house together. The meditation was helping, but it was also uncovering things for me that needed to be removed from my life. And so it was this bittersweet experience for me when I first started meditating, because it was like enlightening, and it was like drinking water for the first time in a desert. Like, it felt like relief. And you know, at the time I was smoking weed a lot, actually. I think I'd stopped by that point because of the meditation. I'd stopped. But prior to that, my coping strategies were, you know, using medicine that can kind of keep you stuck sometimes. And I think it sort of numbed the fact that I was in this relationship that wasn't right for me. And I think that's partly why I used it, because, you know, when you're with somebody and you think that you're going to have a future with them, if you're having doubts about that, it can cause a lot of anxiety. And so I think subconsciously I was trying to block that out. But when I started meditating, I was able to let go of smoking weed as much, from what I can remember. I can't remember the specifics. I think it was still part of my life, but I wasn't heavily relying on it, and I was starting to get some insights through this meditation, and my body was starting to respond differently. My chiropractor was like, "What are you doing? Like, your back is so much better." And so then I was starting to become aware that this relationship was actually really toxic for me, even though he was a really lovely guy and there was a lot of love there. There was, this nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right. And so I spoke to my mum and her friend about it, and they were telling me that, you know, sometimes journaling can actually bring out some stuff that you may not be really aware that you're actually feeling or that you're actually experiencing. I did this meditation, and this meditation was amazing. It was a visualization meditation, and they got you to imagine a grid. And in each square of the grid, there was a part of your life that was playing out, like a parallel reality or like a future possible outcome was playing out. In that, I saw in the middle one, that was the one that was going to be your life. And that was the one that you really, really wanted. And in that square, I couldn't see the partner that I had at the time. I couldn't see him anywhere in there because he wouldn't support that journey of mine. And so I decided that I was going to journal about it. And when I journaled about it, I discovered that there was so much fear around being with this person, not because of them being dangerous, but because I knew that I had to leave, because he wasn't in the center square. And in the center square, I was on a stage, and he just wasn't in the audience, because he at the time in that relationship, he wasn't. When we first started dating, I wasn't on this path, and then I was starting to change and evolve, and we weren't aligned anymore. And so I wanted to see what my future looked like, and he wasn't there. And when I was journaling about it, when I reread the journal, it was like clear day? Have you ever had the experience where you've been thinking about something sort of subconsciously, and then it was only when you started talking to somebody about it out loud that you heard the writing on the wall, that you were saying things that you didn't really want to say because it would mean that you'd have to go through the uncomfortable breakup or whatever it's pointing towards. But when you start talking about it to people who you trust, you often find that you just sort of say what you mean. And it's kind of the same with journaling. Sometimes our thoughts can be so jumbled and like there's so many of them that we don't actually comprehend what we feel about a situation. And so what journaling can do is it can bring to light these unconscious feelings that we have about a situation, and it can give us information that we need to then make a decision and take action and change our reality into something that we prefer. And I remember that journal entry, and I still have it, and I've read over it. I think it was only a few months ago that I read over that one again. And I am so grateful to this day that I did that, because it changed the trajectory of my life. And I know for a fact that that relationship wasn't what I needed, and it served me perfectly up until that point. And, you know, me and that particular person, we got back together 2 or 3 times after that massive breakup. But what happened, how it transpired, was I did the journal and then I read it to my mum, and we were both just crying because it was so clear. The relationship was over. It was over in my mind and in my heart, and I didn't want it to be, but I knew that it needed it to be. And we just bought this house, and we'd only been living there for about 6 weeks. My mum urged me to take some more time to think about it. But I just knew. I knew with every part of my being that I had to do it. And I'm so grateful that I did. So what happened was I moved out, and then he moved out, and he ended up renting somewhere, and we had the house and we owned that together for a while, and then eventually we sold that. Years later, once the back and forth dating, once I realized that, at that time I had ended it with the view of never getting back together, but you know how it can go. Sometimes you hope that, you know, there could be some change, or that they could support your future vision of yourself. And I think he wished he could have, but it just happens that way. But I am so grateful for that relationship and what it taught me. And I know that there's a better one out there for me that's so much more in line with my path. And to speak of that, it doesn't mean that he wasn't worthy. It just means that he wasn't ready or able to support me in my next part of my journey. And that's completely okay. Everyone is at a different stage in life, and everyone is having different experiences. And so for me to say that he was a bad person or anything like that, it doesn't even cross my mind, because it's not like that at all. It's that we just weren't aligned anymore. And he came into my life for a reason, and he taught me so much, and then he stopped teaching me and started to teach me other things, like how to let go. And not directly, obviously, I had to do that on my own, but it was a powerful experience. But my point is that what really got that shift happening in my life, that has now led me to this amazing life that I live, and I'm so excited and proud of myself for finally getting to this stage where I can share it with the world, is that meditation and journaling really unlocked what was happening on a subconscious level. So that's what I wanted to talk to you today about specifically, because it's been in recent times that I've realized it blows my mind just how powerful it is. So to give you a little bit more context, I obviously didn't get fully into the journaling and meditation consistently ever since that day. I've had times where I haven't done any of those things for a long time. But what I have now is that I have a few years of looking at when I started and how the profound change that it gave me at the beginning. And every other time that I have consistently and deliberately meditated and journaled, or one or the other, together they are the most powerful combination. But even if it's just one or the other, I can see now on this timeline how my life was going and this sort of information that I was receiving from spirit, and how I was able to apply that and keep myself in a calmer state and in more peace, in more joy, and more focus and more vision for the future. There would be times where I was like scared to step into my future. So then I would shut down all sort of communication with spirit. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your plan for me. I just want to be a rat bag. I don't want to have responsibilities like this. But, you know, my journey's been perfect for me, but I can tell you now that the times that I've been the most alive feeling and like exciting and sustainably peaceful have been the times when I've been meditating and journaling. And even in recent times, like I took a break from it, not meaning to, I just sort of stopped because I moved into my new place and I hadn't had a place for a while. And I guess I was kind of leaning on the fact that I was like, oh, you know, things are easier now. And so I didn't feel like I had to, but then I can see that now that I've recommenced it, I can just see the clear night and day difference in who I am and how I carry myself in the world with this meditation and journaling. It's a seriously powerful tool. And I wanted to touch on a little bit on how to meditate and how to journal. And there are so many different ways of doing this, but I wanted to share with you what's worked best for me, because I remember when I first started listening to one particular channeler, Abraham Hicks, and they talk about meditating for 15 minutes with no thought. And then there's other meditations that go for an hour and they're guided, and other meditations. There's thousands of different ways to meditate. And I just wanted to share with you sort of what worked for me, because sometimes what we can do is we can find a meditation and we're like, oh, I love the idea of doing this every day, but then it doesn't resonate with you every day and you don't want to. And I totally understand that. But part of you is like, but if I just did it every day, life would just be so much easier. But what I want to talk about is the ability to be flexible with yourself. So I got it in my head that I had to do this specific meditation of 15 minutes, no thoughts, and I really couldn't at the time. My thoughts were very busy and it just frustrated me in the end, and sometimes I'd come out of it feeling more frustrated than when I went into it. And so I decided that I was going to try other types of meditations, and I got really good results with those, especially the guided ones. And I do intend to incorporate more meditations that are just thoughtless, because that I did do that successfully a few times, and it was incredibly powerful to have no thought. Your body feels like it's levitating in a way, and that source energy just rushes through you, and the clarity of nothingness, you feel how big the world is again, and it really does reset your vibration, and I love it. But the other most powerful ones that I've experienced personally have been visualization meditations, and also just guided meditations, because they really, if you've got a busy mind, they can keep you on track. So there's so many out there and available, and I'm going to be making some of my own in the future, which I'm very excited about. But for now, I just wanted to talk to you about being kind to yourself and not being too rigid on what's right and what's wrong. So for me now, like I vary my practice as long as for me, if I can just get myself to lay down, close my eyes, put my headphones in so I can drown out the sounds, and just meditate for 15 to 20 minutes that day, whether it's successful or not, or whether I reach a different state of being or not, I know that just the act of laying down and meditating can actually cause my vibration to rise, and I have a much more successful day. So I challenge you to try this for yourself, to make a habit of laying down and meditating every day for 30 days. And then once you finish meditating, take a journal in a notebook and go somewhere where you won't be distracted or interrupted. I personally like going to a cafe. I know it sounds contradictory, but I put headphones in and I drown out the noise, and I feel like I'm not at home, so I'm not tempted just to stop and to actually start doing other things around the house. So I feel like, and it's a nice way to set up the day by like taking yourself out of your home environment to go and journal, but you can journal wherever is comfortable for you. And then I journal, and I'll go into the journaling a little bit more in a moment, but the combination of the two has been the most powerful recipe for me to set my day up for success. And these are just permission slips. Like, nobody has to do any of these rituals. They're just tools that are available to us to use if we feel as though that we are a bit distracted. But I use it as a manifestation tool, and also a way just to appreciate things. Like, you don't have to be trying to actively manifest anything without with meditation or journaling. You can just be there basking in everything that you are so appreciative of. You can imagine how far you have come in your life and the transformative journey that you've been on, and you can bask in how proud of yourself you are. And sometimes that's all I'm able to do. Sometimes looking into the future when I'm visualizing and imagining things it seems unreal, or like I won't be able to achieve it. Some days I feel like it's too big of a dream to dream, and so it can be counterproductive for me to think about it when I'm feeling hopeless. But if you feel any sort of peace when you think about it in a positive light, then I encourage you to do it, because then you're working with yourself. If your thoughts are negative around what you are thinking about, then you're working against yourself. So you need to work those thoughts so that they are positive and soften them. And you know, the imagination of our futures, they are just imagery. Our inner being is the only one that really knows how it's going to turn out. And the imagination is generally there just to get us excited about the vibration of the future that we are choosing to live in. So when we imagine a future and there's all these elements in it, and it makes us feel really excited and really appreciative of what's to come, it may not look like that when we get there, but the vibration of it, if we believe that we can receive that reality, then the vibration of it, you will get that same feeling. And that's the whole reason that we want anything anyway, is for the feeling of it. So the specifics aren't really important, and you can reassure yourself when you are meditating about that. You can tell yourself, hang on a minute, just because it doesn't show up exactly like I'm imagining right now doesn't mean that I'm not going to receive the beautiful feelings of love and joy and ecstasy that I'm imagining right now. As you can be or do or have anything that you choose, because you are God in a human body. You are source energy here in a physical body, and you are channeling through this body and this physical, experience, this personality. That's what you're channeling through. And so because you are from all that is, the world is literally bending around what you believe. And law of attraction is, you are like a magnet sitting in the middle of the universe, and every thought that you have, if it's consistent enough, it will come to you and it will show itself to you. Maybe not in that exact form, but the vibration of that will be in your field, and you will start to see manifestation of that. And I'm sure you all have before, where you've been thinking negatively for a while and then negative things show up. And then if you change that, you think positively for a while, and then things start to change. It's like when you fall in love with someone and they're all you can think about. Everything in your life seems to be going really, really well, because that's what your attraction power is at that time. So when it comes to meditating and visualization, I always encourage people only to visualize what's actually making them feel excited in that moment. And that's what we're trying to do. That's the goal of meditation, is to actually raise the vibration to a point where you feel like you're moving towards something that you really want. And then the journaling is there to sort of solidify and add in the constructs of what you imagine during your visualization. So for me, I will meditate, And then I'll try to journal quickly after the meditation session so that I can ground in what it was that I visualized and keep that vibration going. Both of these activities are used as a focusing mechanism. And so when you journal after you meditate, it's like you're dragging forth that focus even more and you're amplifying it. It's like putting a magnifying glass over that and amplifying it even more, the power of that meditation. For example, this morning I meditated and I had a great meditation. I have had better, but it was good. And then I went and meditated and, journaled. And the journaling itself was even better than the meditation for me. And it can chop and change. And sometimes it's both and sometimes it's just one, or sometimes neither of them are like super exciting for you, but it's the habit that you're forming that's going to really help you in the long run. So even if days that I journal or meditate and they don't feel like they've really done a lot to raise my vibration, I know and I'm proud of myself for doing it, because I tell myself, you've just made a habit really like stronger. Like every time you do it, you make that habit stronger. And I remember when I was over in America, not too long ago, I think it was, I can't remember, maybe 6 months ago. And I went through a very dark time, and I realized that when the troubles really started was when it had been about 2 months since I had journaled properly. I stopped journaling before I went over there because I was busy preparing, and then everything fell apart when I got there. Like it was just chaos. And so I wasn't journaling or meditating. And I remember I was over there and I was in a really low place, having a challenging time. And I just decided, all right, this is going to be a non-negotiable in my life. I am going to journal and I'm going to meditate every single day, and this will be like an antidepressant for me, and I will not stop. And it worked immensely. At the beginning, it sucked. I hated it. I didn't like it because I was used to meditating and journaling at another time, and it was so much more exciting and profound. And because I had been tracking on this negative spiral, it took a minute for me to come out of that, but every time I did it, it got easier, and I was just proud of myself for having done the activity and for having increased the ability of the habit. So then it brings me to journaling, and journaling is another skill. And look, there are ways of journaling, probably not in a great way. So for example, journaling about everything that is wrong in your life is not going to be helpful. It depends on how you are writing about it and how you're talking about it. I like to call my journaling alchemizing, because I won't speak about a situation and the pain of the situation too much without it being for a reason. For example, if I wanted to journal about a challenge that I was having with, say, my dad, because I had challenges with him in the past, say I was journaling about that, I wouldn't spend the entire journal time writing about how much it sucks and how much he's in the wrong and he should be different. I don't write down what I feel, because your feelings are there as indicators. I write down what I know. So at first it depends on how bad the mood is I'm in. Sometimes I'm in a better mood than others, but if I'm in a really bad mood, I'll only allow myself to write maybe a few lines about how I feel. And then I will start to write down what I know. And even if I don't resonate fully with what I know at that moment, for example, I could maybe write 1 or 2, 3 lines about, this is what's happening and it kind of sucks and it's making me feel like this. But then I will say, but I know that I am the creator of my reality. I know that we are both souls here on this earth from the same whole, and that he is a part of me. I know that I have attracted this situation for a reason, and that it's going to teach me something amazing about myself, and it's going to help me in the long run. I know that every challenge that I've had in the past has led me to overcoming something and feeling even better afterwards. I know that I love this person. I know that they don't want to be in conflict with me. I know. And I start writing down what I know until I start to remember what I know in a way that's robust. And I'm like, that's right, hang on a minute. I am the creator of my own reality. I do love this person immensely. And I know that in a perfect world that they don't want any conflict, and everyone is only trying to make themselves feel better. In every single action that anyone ever does, they're trying to make themselves feel better in some way, and he thought that this would make himself feel better. He's acting maybe out of love, but in a way that's making me feel smothered. And you just start to see it from a different perspective. You start to raise yourself up out of this situation and take a broader perspective like Source does, and look down on the situation from a bird's eye view, taking into account all the laws of the universe and everything, instead of this is one little tiny perspective of somebody's made me feel a negative emotion, and now I'm not happy about that. Instead of being reactive, you pull yourself out, you look down, and you remember who you are. You remember that you were God forced in this human experience, and it starts to become lighter, and you start to realize, oh, that's right, this is not a big deal. I know it feels like it when I'm in it and focused on it, because I'm putting a magnifying glass on it, and I'm like basically jumping into this pool of thoughts and immersing myself in what feels like is justified. Or I could get myself out of that pool, look at it for what it is, and realize that there is an entire ocean over here that I could be focused on of amazing things. And then I start to write down all the things that I am happy about. You flip it around. You can talk about it for a moment or two at the beginning, but the aim of journaling and the aim of meditation is to calibrate. Calibrate, calibrate, calibrate. What is calibration? Calibration is bringing back to equilibrium. We're bringing something from negative back to positive. We're changing the way we see it. We're changing our point of view. We are changing our thoughts and our beliefs. And by doing that consistently with anything that bothers you, you change your reality. And this is the power of journaling and meditation and visualization and imagination and focus, because focus is where your power lies. So every time you journal like this, instead of just writing pages and pages and pages of how bad it is and focusing more of that into existence, which is what we also do with our friends sometimes, right? We can pick a friend who goes through similar challenges as us, so that we can bitch about it and we can both get into complaining. And why we like that is because someone else agrees with us, and we love it when someone else agrees with us. But it doesn't necessarily serve us to have someone else agree with us. And I can be triggering to people because I won't speak to their victim. I want to speak to their brilliance, to who they really are. I like to see things for what they are. And so if people come to me with problems, clients come to me with problems, I won't let you talk about it for long. We've only got so long together. I don't want to spend that time recreating over and over again the thing that you don't want. So let's stop talking about it and let's start talking about what is true and what is actually happening here, and start seeing it for what it is, rather than just reacting to people who trigger us or situations that trigger us. That is what alchemy is. It's changing it, because you have the ability to change it. You are the creator of your own reality, and you are the one that gets to change how you feel about any situation. You are. So that's why I love journaling and meditating, and that's why it always helps me so much, and it baffles me why I ever stop, because I get so much out of it, and I leave feeling like, not all the time, but like I said, practice makes perfect, right? And perfect's not the goal, but consistency and showing up for yourself and focusing regularly and not letting yourself go down these rabbit holes of complaining and feeling like the world owes you something, and being in this victim mentality when you are not a victim at all. You are a divine creator, and the universe is so supportive of you making your own choices that it will allow you to create a situation that's not desirable, because you have that freedom. That's what this free will that we have is. We have the ability to choose to focus on anything in this world, and that's the smorgasbord buffet that we are in front of. So don't pick up something that you don't want to eat. If it doesn't make you feel good, put it back and choose something else. There's so many things to be focused on. But I love the calibration, because sometimes just ignoring the whole situation, without understanding why we felt that way in the first place, it can sort of come back later. So anytime something comes up for me, I'm like, what am I here to learn about this? What is this going to show me? And I know because I've done it so many times with thousands of my own thoughts. I have changed the way that I see something, and I won't let it come back, because I will recognize the negative emotion. It's giving me information that I need to look at the situation and to change it and to alchemize it, because it doesn't feel right. Something feels wrong. And that I bless the negative emotion now, because I'm like, oh, I'm looking at this the wrong way. Which is great, because that means that there's a way that I can look at this situation and feel better. And sometimes that means you got to look away from the situation. Sometimes it depends on the situation and what it makes you feel, but sometimes you just got to look away completely until you're ready to calibrate that, if you need to. Like, sometimes things just need to be left alone. Every situation is different, but that is what your guidance system is about. And that is what I am here to teach people, is to remember who they are and to teach them that they have guidance within themselves that can help guide them towards a life of joy and freedom and love and expansion and excitement and all of it. You can have it all. So much love and appreciation for you all. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope that it helped you, and I hope it's inspired you to start meditating and journaling for yourself, and have the most amazing day. So much love.